Shortly after the release of an audio recording this past Saturday morning of a conversation that allegedly...
The sun had barely risen this past Saturday morning when the foundations of the sporting world began to tremble. It started with a notification, a ping on millions of smartphones, signaling the release of an audio recording that would change the trajectory of professional basketball forever. This wasn't just another leak, it was a digital detonation. The recording purportedly captured a conversation so explosive, so damaging, that it threatened to strip away the veneer of the WNBA's most successful season to date. For years, fans have grumbled about poor refereeing. We've seen missed travels, questionable shooting fouls, and the occasional technical foul that seemed more personal than professional. But what this recording suggests is something far more sinister. We aren't discussing human error anymore. We are discussing a systemic top-down manipulation of the game. We are discussing power struggles, covert payments, and a level of potential corruption that reaches the very office of the commissioner. The central figure in this storm, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. In a move that feels like a betrayal to some and a rescue mission to others, Silver reportedly dropped a bomb that has sent the WNBA into a tailspin. According to reports circulating from Elite List and confirmed by internal whispers, the WNBA is no longer just a league of athletes. It has allegedly become a league of actors, directed by a script written in the front office. Allegation is simple but devastating. WNBA referees are reportedly receiving direct, under-the-table compensation from Cathy Engelbert, the commissioner of the WNBA. This isn't just social media gossip or a hazy rumor, fueled by a disgruntled fan base on Twitter. We are looking at reports of an official audit, secret memoranda, and an internal probe that suggests the game of basketball is being sold to the highest bidder, or at least, the most convenient narrative. To understand the gravity of this situation, one must look at Cathy Engelbert. Since taking the helm, she has been praised as a visionary, a woman who brought corporate stability and massive growth to a league that struggled for decades to find its footing. But the Engelbert era is now being viewed through a much darker lens. The alleged evidence points toward a sophisticated system of control. According to the reports, bribes, gratuities, and consulting fees were passed off as bonuses to a select list of referees. Why? To ensure that the narrative on the court matched the narrative in the marketing meetings. The alleged goal was simple: keep certain preferred players protected while making others, those who don't fit the desired mold or who threaten the established hierarchy, invisible. If these reports are accurate, it explains the baffling officiating we've seen all season. It suggests that when a referee swallows their whistle, it isn't because they missed the play, it's because they were paid to look the other way. When a technical foul is assessed for a minor emotional outburst, it isn't about maintaining order, it's about silencing a specific voice. The documents unearthed in this inquiry suggest a level of micromanagement that borders on the obsessive. Secret memos allegedly detail how specific games should be handled, which players should be watched closely, and which stars should be given the veteran benefit.
LeBron James' startling remarks regarding Alyssa Thomas's actions against Caitlin Clark have rocked the basketball world, and you're going to find out. Let me ask you a question first, though. Have you ever witnessed a professional athlete endure the kind of mistreatment Caitlin Clark has endured over her career? LeBron James's view of the WNBA was drastically altered by what he saw during the Phoenix Mercury game. Following LeBron James' comments, Alyssa Thomas is currently the target of criticism. LeBron James feels that Caitlin Clark is getting the public support she deserves.
This is the largest scandal the league has ever seen, and if the full truth comes out, it won't just be a few referees losing their jobs, the entire operation could blow wide open. Nowhere is this alleged corruption more visible than in the treatment of the league's newest and brightest star, Caitlin Clark. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA is currently a household name. She is the reason your grandmother knows what a Fever jersey looks like. She is the reason television ratings have spiked by 500% and why arenas that used to be half empty are now sold out weeks in advance. She is the player protecting the league from irrelevance. So why does it seem like the system is designed to break her? Throughout the season, fans have watched a disturbing pattern emerge. Clark has been shoved to the ground, slapped across the arms, and elbowed in the stomach, often with a referee standing less than 5 feet away. The result? Nothing, no whistle, no foul, no protection. However, the moment Clark exhibits even a shred of the frustration that any human being would feel under those circumstances, the referees are instantaneous with a technical foul. The WNBA seems to be attempting to convey a message to Clark: remain where you are, don't get too big for the game. But the Caitlin Clark effect cannot be ignored. She is the economic engine of the league, yet she is being treated like an outsider. This brings us to the crucial question raised by the leaked audio. Was Caitlin Clark a specific intended target of the commissioner's office? Was there a directive to ensure she didn't dominate the league too quickly? Was the goal to humble her to protect the egos of the veterans who came before her? The fans are connecting the dots. They see the bizarre double standards. They see the umpires who swallow their whistles when Clark gets hacked but blow them the moment she so much as breathes on an opponent. This isn't paranoia, it's a documented pattern. And now that an official inquiry is underway, the world is starting to realize that the physicality of the WNBA might just be a cover for a sanctioned hit job on its biggest star. While Caitlin Clark battles through a gauntlet of uncalled fouls, other players seem to be playing under a different set of rules. Take the Connecticut Sun's Alyssa Thomas. No one is doubting her talent. She is a phenomenal veteran and one of the most complete players in the history of the game. But the way she is officiated compared to Clark is night and day. In recent matchups, specifically the Fever versus Phoenix Mercury and games involving the Sun, the discrepancy has been glaring. Fever supporters have watched in agony as their team builds momentum, only to have it snatched away by a whistle. Every time Indiana starts to find their rhythm, a phantom call sends a veteran like Thomas or a Mercury player to the free throw line. Meanwhile, Indiana's young stars like Aaliyah Boston have to absorb massive amounts of contact just to get a basic shooting foul. Aaliyah Boston is a powerful force in the paint, a former #1 pick, and a foundational piece of the league's future. Yet she is often officiated as if she were a bench player, forced to battle through contact that would result in an immediate whistle for a more established veteran. When similar plays produce vastly different outcomes based on the name on the back of the jersey, it is only reasonable for people to doubt the consistency of the officiating. This leads to the question of veteran status versus corruption. Is the league simply giving its longtime stars the benefit of the doubt, or is there a financial incentive to keep the old guard on top of the mountain? If referees are indeed receiving bonuses from the commissioner, the integrity of the competition is gone. In the midst of this officiating crisis, one woman decided she had seen enough. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, became a symbol of resistance during the Fever versus Phoenix Mercury matchup. White is not a coach known for wild antics or unprofessional behavior. She is a respected tactical mind. But as she watched her players, specifically Clark, get battered without recourse, her frustration boiled over. She grew visibly angry, confronting the officials after a disputed event that left Clark on the hardwood once again. White's technical foul wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a statement. She was standing up against what appeared more and more like a corrupt system. In that moment, she wasn't just coaching a basketball team, she was fighting for the soul of the sport. Her reaction represented the mounting irritation felt by millions of fans. We need more of that. We need coaches who are willing to sacrifice their bank accounts to call out the unfairness. Stephanie White became a symbol for every fan who has ever yelled at their TV because the officiating didn't make sense. Her tech was a badge of honor, a sign that someone on the inside was finally willing to say, "The king has no clothes." To understand the why behind the what, we have to follow the money. And in 2024, the money in sports is flowing toward one place: sports betting. The explosion of sports gambling has changed the way we consume athletics. Over/under on points, total fouls, player props, it's everywhere. And where there is that much money on the line, there is an incentive for corruption. Imagine you are a referee with a secret consulting fee from the league. Now imagine you or someone you know has a significant bet on a player like A'ja Wilson to score 25 points. If Wilson is struggling to find her rhythm, all it takes is a few whistles. A phantom shooting foul here, a soft reach in there, and suddenly she's at the free throw line 13 times in a game. Is it a coincidence or is it a payout? Fans are starting to ask these questions because the eye test doesn't lie. When you see the same players receiving favorable calls while others get nothing, it raises real problems. Could referees be placing bets? Are they assisting their pals in cashing out? If that is even a possibility, then the WNBA is no longer a professional sports league. It's a casino where the house always wins. The integrity of the league is its only real currency. Once the audience believes the games are about payouts rather than points, the value of the product drops to zero. A'ja Wilson might be grinning as the referees save her from a tough shooting night, but those smiles are costing the league its credibility. The WNBA may have controlled the narrative in the past, but they cannot control the internet. The social media usage regarding these scandals has skyrocketed. The hashtags Justice for Clark and Ref Scandal aren't just trending, they are becoming the primary lens through which the league is viewed. The memes are everywhere. Referees wearing clown wigs, whistles made of money, and spoof advertisements featuring Wnba Wilson receiving her own distinctive foul call. This digital uprising is a sign that the fans are done being quiet. They are no longer willing to accept officiating is hard as an excuse for what looks like blatant bias. And it's not just the fans. NBA players, the big brothers of the basketball world, are speaking up. LeBron James and Chris Paul, two of the most powerful and influential voices in sports history, have reportedly been criticizing the WNBA's officiating and demanding answers. When the greatest players in the world start questioning your league's integrity, you have a problem that a PR firm can't fix. The league loses credibility when supporters no longer have faith in the referees. When the players stop trusting the officials, the league loses control. The WNBA needs to pay attention because their audience isn't just watching the game anymore, they're watching the refs. Let's set the record straight. As of this moment, Cathy Engelbert has not stepped down. But if you've been listening to the roar of the crowd and the whispers in the corridors of power, you know that the cries for her resignation are growing louder every day. The fans are done, the players are irritated, the coaches are furious. This is no longer about a few bad calls, it's about a league that appears to be rigged at all levels. The leaked memo detailing consulting fees given to specific referees is the smoking gun. Those same referees have been involved in the most contentious no-calls of the season. The internal NBA inquiry launched by Adam Silver has put the spotlight squarely on Engelbert. The big question, the one that will determine the future of the league, is this. Did Engelbert sanction these payouts? Was she actively suppressed players like Caitlin Clark to protect her preferred stars? And if she wasn't directly engaged, why has she been so silent? In a moment of crisis, a leader speaks. A leader confronts the media, the players, and the fans. To remain mute in this situation isn't leadership, it's concealment. If the league's leadership is unreliable, who can be trusted? Does Cathy Engelbert need to step down, or does she need to be removed? Let's take a moment to pose the most difficult query. What if everything we've been told is accurate? What if the games truly were rigged? What if Caitlin Clark's rise was purposely slowed down to protect the brand of the older players? What if the MVP contest was decided in a boardroom before the season even started? What if referees were making money from their own calls? If this is the case, it would imply that every stat line, every box score, every victory, and every defeat in WNBA history is contaminated. It would mean that the fans were cheated, the players were cheated, and the sport itself was corrupted. This is about more than basketball, it's about trust. It's about the ability of a young girl to watch a game and believe that if she works hard enough, she can win fairly. If that dream is dead, the game is dead. What happens next? Should the NBA take over the WNBA entirely? Should the results of the 2024 season be reviewed and potentially reversed? If we don't repair this immediately, the damage to women's sports might be permanent. If you think the fans are upset, wait until you hear what the sponsors are saying. According to reports, two of the WNBA's largest corporate partners are already reevaluating their agreements. This is the ultimate money talks moment. No business, especially one that promotes itself as empowering women, wants to be associated with a league under investigation for corruption and underhanded payments. If the sponsors withdraw their funds, the momentum the league has established will vanish. We will see fewer televised games, fewer resources for teams, and player salaries will plummet. The WNBA was on the verge of greatness, but this scandal could send it back to the dark ages of sports history. Money is the lifeblood of the league, and the people who hold the purse strings are starting to ask questions that Cathy Engelbert can't or won't answer. Caitlin Clark is not the only one involved. Wnba Wilson is not the only one involved. This is about the future of an entire league. Adam Silver's intervention might be the best thing that ever happened to the WNBA. By forcing an audit and an overhaul of leadership, he is providing a chance for the league to save itself from its own worst impulses. The referees are finally being watched. The leadership is finally being questioned. This is the reckoning. It is long overdue. Will the WNBA come out of this better or will it crumble? The truth is the only thing that can set it free. Fans are no longer content with being just fans. They are investigators, critics, and judges. They are watching every play, every whistle, and every memo. The WNBA is at a crossroads. One path leads to transparency, fairness, and the realization of the league's massive potential. The other path leads to a slow death in the shadows of corruption. I want to know what you think. Is the league rigged? Is Caitlin Clark being targeted? Should Cathy Engelbert resign? The conversation is just beginning, and it is the most important conversation in the history of the WNBA. The system is being exposed, the whistles are being checked, and for the first time in a long time, the truth might actually matter. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the biggest scandal in basketball. This story is still developing, and we will be here to cover every leaked memo and every whistle. If you're interested in the real game of basketball, make sure to stay tuned. See you on the next one.